let's get to your market update. The JSE All Share Index was almost unchanged. Global investors cautiously awaiting an update on U.S. consumer inflation that may well help set the Federal Reserve's plan, or rather path on interest rates. Standard Bank equity sales trader Kagiso Matlala joins us this afternoon to dissect the latest market moves, which include December's mining print. Kagiso, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on. Let's begin where we always do, with an overview of how the local and the rand are faring so far today.
Afternoon, everyone. Yeah. As you mentioned, I mean, quite a muted start. I think the issue obviously is that we've got a big macro data day ahead of us. That also, to add onto that, I mean, we had China Lunar closed for the whole of Asia morning session. So not much kind of guidance for our local markets to give us any direction going into that late afternoon. But I mean, as I said, I mean, what we have seen over the morning is a few bits and pieces of data coming out. As you mentioned, those mining production numbers, which we'll mention later on. We've also had a few stock specifics like TCP, etc. But yeah, I mean, on overall, it is a slow day. It'll probably stay likely like this until we see what the US CPI has in for us.
We keep talking about, waiting for what's going to unfold in other markets around the world. Oil prices are up slightly on the fear of Middle East tension, and there's a fear that could disrupt supply. Gold remaining flat. Talk us through what's driving those two kinds of moves.
So first of all, I mean, I think it's the same thing. The macro is going to be the biggest driver of most of these things today. Brent, on the other hand, I mean, we've seen it rise about 4.4% since early Feb. So I mean, that Middle East tension definitely playing a part. But I think also playing out in the background is obviously how the rate cycle plays out. And I mean, obviously this macro, the CPI data today will tell us how the Fed plays out. And if anything turns, I mean, for instance, if it is positive for growth, then you'll obviously see more demand for that oil. Obviously, as well, on top of that, if China as well starts to see some kind of demand, we will see that oil price higher. Gold, on the other hand, I guess it also will be waiting for any moves in the dollar and any moves in the inflation print.
So Stats SA, Kagiso, has published the latest mining productions and sales data. That's for December of 2023. What stands out for you in those figures?
I mean, on the face of it, they are disappointing. I mean, as mining production fell about 4.2% versus the down 0.3% that we were estimating. Gold production were down about 3.4%. PGMs were the ones that surprised on the upside, but I think we'll have to dig a little bit deeper into that. But I think the most important thing is obviously just how all these miners will showing updates later on in this month and into March. I think that will be the telling point. I mean, our outlook is that these PGMs will still be under considerable pressure, given that the PGM basket has been under pressure itself.
Let's stay with mining. Glencore planning to sell a stake in its unprofitable nickel business. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, this is unsurprising as well. I mean, if you know about the mine, the Conimbia mine in New Caledonia, it's a small island, or it's a mine on a small island off the coast of Australia. Very costly production there. I mean, the mine is under about $15 billion of debt. Nickel prices are at the lows. I mean, at 3-year lows. So it's kind of a perfect storm for the mine, and it's expected that this is not a going concern for Glencore.
Anything else interesting that you're keeping your eyes on as you watch the day's trade, Kagiso?
I mean, as I say, I think outside of CPI print today, we really have nothing else to look forward to. That will give us a guidance of where we see our own rate cycles go, where we see global rate cycles go, the implications on growth. So there's a lot hanging on this data today, and we'll probably just be watching that. All
right. Kagiso Matlala, Standard Bank equity sales trader. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon for our market update.